Let's remove the wheel, 21mm socket. Now with the wheel off, you can see these ball joint nuts and bolts, 2 nuts here and a bolt here. They're all 17mm. Remove all 3. Next you have a 19mm bolt that goes through right here. Remove that. Perfect. And we're left with these 2 19mm bolts here. There's one. And last one. Okay, take that out. At this point, it's unbolted, so pull it down, get it off the ball joint, set the ball joint aside. This will just come right off there, and you can use a little pry bar here and just help guide it out. Here's your old control arm. When you install your new control arm, you might notice that it has this sway bar link bracket here. This is not applicable to this vehicle, so I'm just going to go ahead and take it off. 14mm socket. Take those nuts off. There we go. Remove it. Let's slide this new control arm in. I'm going to start with that rear bushing over there, just because that is actually the most difficult one to line up. Once that one's in, you can basically line up all the others. So don't be afraid to use a little hammer, rubber mallet, whatever you have to persuade it into place. Basically what I'm trying to do is line up the hole on the bottom so I can start that bolt in right there. So I'm going to grab my bolt. That bolt went through. Pull the bolt down just a little bit. And if your nut came off, go ahead and put it back on. It has this little hook here that hooks on so it doesn't go in further. And now you can push your bolt through. Now I'm going to try and start this bolt in. I'm going to go very slow. Okay, that's started. Snug it up. Don't torque it all the way for now. Let me put the rest of the bolts on and then we can come back and torque this. I cleaned up the threads on these bolts and put some anti-seize just on the shanked area here to prevent rust. But what I want to show you is actually the difference in length. The front bolts on the control arm had 2 different lengths. So this longer one actually goes on the rear of the front mounting bolt and then, or mounting plate, and then the shorter one goes on the front. So just a side note. That way you put them back the right way. At this point, I want to take this control arm and kind of wedge it back into place here. Just like that. We'll get 2 of the bolts. I'm going to start with this rearward one. There's one. Let's get the front one started. These are a little difficult, but if you push up on the control arm, you can probably hammer them in. I'm going to try and thread this in by hand. Hopefully it catches onto the threads inside of the subframe. Okay, so that one went in all the way on the threads. This front one, it went in, but I don't think it's on the threads yet. So I'm going to try to pry kind of up and forward. Perfect, that got it in. Let's snug them all up. That's tight. Let's double check this front one. Yep, that's tight. Lastly, this one over here. Now let's torque them all. 152 foot-pounds for all these bolts back here, 3 of them. That's one. All right, that's 152. And let's do this back one. All right, pull down on this control arm and put the ball joint studs back in. There we go, that's both of them. Start on the 2 nuts, and then the bolt on the back side I'll do the nuts first. That'll kind of center it where it needs to be. Snug those up. Okay, now the bolts should be lined up and centered. Yep, perfect. Start this one in. And then snug them up. Torque them all to 90 foot-pounds. All right, let's get the wheel back on. Start on all 5 of your lug nuts, bottom them out, torque them to 76 foot-pounds. All right, take it for a road test.